Now it came to pass the same night that the Lord said to him, take your father's young bull, the second bull of 7 years old, and tear down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the wooden image, the Ashereth pole, which was a Canaanite goddess, that is beside it. Verse 26, and build an altar to the Lord your God on top of this rock. Literally, in the Hebrew, that means stronghold. In other words, take the enemy's stronghold down, and in its place, build an altar of worship in its place. The very thing your father has opened the door to, the iniquity of your father, that it's affecting you, Gideon. You're oppressed, not just because you have bad identity, but it's the oppression of the iniquity of your own family. And by the way, I believe Gideon's father and his iniquity affected the whole city, because when Gideon tore that altar down, as I shared last week, all of a sudden we see where the men of the city are angry, and they go to Gideon's father and they're ready to bring him out. We're going to kill him. He tore down the altar of Baal. In other words, you came against that stronghold, and there's this agitation in the realm of the spirit. And it's interesting. Not only does he tear down the altar of Baal, but he erects this altar of worship, gets back to true worship of Yahweh. When you begin to erect true worship of Yahweh and the Lord in your heart, where you begin to worship Him as Jesus talks about in John 4, in spirit and in truth. And spirit and in truth isn't just what you do on Sunday morning. Spirit and truth is your everyday life surrendered to Him. Where you give no place to the enemy, you give no place to thoughts, and you give no place to the temptation. We all get tempted. But you're living such in Christ that your eyes are so on Him that you're above it. You're beyond it. I'm not saying you can't sin. I'm saying that there's a realm in Christ that He wants to take us to, and in Him, that the fullness of His glory and His life and His resurrection power lifts us beyond these things. We begin to walk as new creations that we are. We begin to live out of a heavenly realm that all of a sudden, everywhere we go, we diffuse the fragrance of Jesus and the fragrance of heaven, and the glory of God begins to invade.